we shall move on. We're going to do some AEW stuff now. Marko Stunt has returned to
the midget,
basically.
Hey,
AEW.
we can't use. Can we still use the term midget?
I think we just did. So, yes, the 5'2", I believe he bills himself as indie wrestler, who was also briefly in AEW as part of Jurassic Express with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, has returned to AEW. He confronts Jungle Boy Jack Perry in the ring, and the commentator's going, he's seen a ghost from his past. But really, Jack Perry had no different facial expression whatsoever. So anyway, you actually watched the intro, you watched the match. What do you think of, one, the match, and two, Marko Stunt returning to AEW?
Marko Stunt, he's in that Never Never Land between being a undersized individual, the old school term for it was a midget. He's bigger than a midget, but way, way smaller than a normal guy. So he's how tall? 5'2"?
Yeah.
So he is very, very short. And but I will say one thing about him. I watched part of the match. He worked his ass off. I mean, he took some bumps that were really, really good. And I mean, Jack Perry will never see another match where he gets to manhandle a guy like he did. What's his first name?
Jack. Oh, Marko Stunt. Sorry,
Marko Stunt, like he does Mr. Stunt. But I didn't want to watch the whole match, so I would go forward on it. But actually, it was they worked hard. It wasn't a bad match, and the crowd, they were receptive to it. So you couldn't draw a dime with it unless maybe you could tell a story with it somehow. But it'd be a really short run story. But I've never seen anything like that. I will say that AEW did something that I've never really seen before, and won't draw a dime, but they worked hard, and it wasn't a bad match.
So,
can I say that? Can I say that about AEW?
What?
Can I actually put them over, put them over a little bit?
Maybe a little bit. Well, we might have a couple of reasons too.
Marko Stunt. See, I had heard the name, and I'd actually forgotten him. And then when he comes out there, I said, "Oh, I remember the guy. He used to be the one who teamed up with Luchasaurus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, there can only be one, so I was testing my memories if I remembered right. But pretty good match, basically.
Right. Let me give you this. When AEW came out, one of the knocks against them, and remains so, is that their roster is undersized, and a lot of the fans watching could probably beat up half their roster. You know what I mean? So then and like Marko Stunt was sort of like the most egregious example of that. It's like you've got a 5'2" guy there who's wrestling on par with, let's say, well, at the moment, Jack Perry, who's meant to be one of your top stars. So, I mean, it doesn't pass the believability factor regardless of how well Marko Stunt can work. It doesn't pass the smell test in that sense. Would you agree?
Partially. But hey, if you're talking about it doesn't pass the test of believability, they do a lot of stuff in pro wrestling, and especially in AEW, that doesn't pass the test of believability. Believe me. I saw one guy to give a clothesline. He did a front somersault roll and then got up and gave the how does that help the clothesline? I don't get it. I do not get it. And if I was an agent, I said, you don't do that. Please don't do that. It makes no sense whatsoever. And I don't even know, it doesn't even make him look good. It makes him look stupid, I think. But hey, there's so many things. If you started nitpicking this, and we can have a podcast to go for 24 hours.
Well, that's what we do. That's what podcasts are all about, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, but hey, and I think wrestling fans, they take it for what it is. And for 6 minutes or 7 minutes, they enjoyed what they were seeing. And that's the really test they need to pass. And I think they did that.